Hi, good afternoon. I am doing a quick little walk, it's another hour walk. And I just watched a video, interesting video by a Norwegian gentleman called Bjorn Andreas Bull-Hansen. And I apologize if I'm messing up the name. He has a good size YouTube, really good size YouTube channel, and he talks about living in the outdoors and the way society is and things like that. He just put out a really interesting video about the dark truth behind Elon Musk and the cuts. Now, it's not cutting down Elon Musk and stuff, as the title might suggest. Is just talking about what this is going on and maybe what the United States is preparing for. So I think it is a really good video for a conversation starter, because he had the thoughts. He doesn't have the answers. I don't have the answers either. I have some ideas about that in regards to it. But he had mentioned the dark truth is that there's going to be, I think the term was useless eaters, people that are going to become useless people. And we're going to have a lot of those because AI is going to replace a lot of jobs in the workforce. And he doesn't really subscribe to the thought that new jobs or industries will be created to the level that will replace those that are lost. I look at it from a couple of different perspectives on that. And yes, these cuts are needed, and people were complaining and everything that the government's becoming too bloated and too wasteful. I mean, they found, like, I think one was $10 million to an African nation to promote circumcision. And when you think about it, that's really just probably a guise to pay off some warlord or some politician to do some bidding for under the U.S. Because we all know and when it comes to foreign affairs, we have a history. Our government has a history of doing some very shady things. So those going in there and cutting those things and laying off these workers that weren't really needed, that aren't coming into work and things like that, or were working from home and weren't really doing things. It's cutting out that fat, that obesity and bloating in the government. That's one thing. AI is increasingly changing the way that the workforce develops and evolves. AI will eliminate a lot of those lower skill sets and some higher level skill sets, but it will create some additional new work. I definitely believe that, not to the scale of maybe the jobs lost, but I think it's going to issue in and actually speed up another trend that you see happening with Gen Z and Gen Alphas, where that the traditional getting a career or learning a technical skill is disappearing, and it's actually evolving into people creating their own jobs and businesses, becoming more of an entrepreneur than anything. And I like to say becoming a creator, content creators, using social media and the internet for either selling things or creating content and earning an above average income from that. Because though in the beginning it's hard to get views and it's hard to get clicks and maybe you're down on the bottom of the search engine list and things like that. But the more you learn about it and you build your skill sets over time, and what, let's say, it's rapidly changing and going faster. But if you take the mentality of, okay, I'm building a channel like I'm doing here, I don't expect growth of this channel to really take off, and it's going to evolve over time. But I don't expect really anything from this channel except for the motivation that it provides me, and hopefully that it provides other people. Now, I give it a sort of, I look at the Japanese way of how they look at business plans. They don't do a yearly business plan. They do these 5-year out, 5-year, 10-year business plans for the long term. So with social media, I see it growing and faster and improving at a faster rate. So about a 2-year plan. But right now, I am looking at a 2 to 5-year plan. Sorry. So I see that changing at a much faster rate. And people, you look at the Wild West frontier right now that you see on Instagram, Twitter, even on TikTok and YouTube, even with YouTube Shorts and then Facebook Reels and things like that. With AI, how people are writing music, they are creating videos. You see all these Bible stories, these other Stoicism stories and history stories and things like that, all done with AI. And, some of them are good, some of them are not that good. I've made a bunch of these. I made an attempt at these, and they're not good. But every single week, the quality is improving. So that all you have to do is, if you're building your skill set, like I laugh about, I want to, with my beard and everything, being a Viking, but you can do, faceless channels where you're using AI and you make an AI avatar. And you can build story channels. People love that. And as you get better, your channel also grows. So as an early adopter to this, you can be actually on the forefront of this growth and actually end up in just a relatively short time compared to working in a corporate environment of earning way above average income. Whereas traditionally, if you go to university, college, and you study a career, marketing, communications, engineering, law or whatever, business, and you study that, by the time you get to working in corporate America, you realize that what you study was just a foundation, and a lot of it's outdated information. So your first 2 years, 3 years, and the workforce is where you're learning and adopting more actual world experience. And that's why your first year college students don't earn a lot of money in most careers. It's not until after the 5-year mark that they reach that 6-figure line above and above. And if they only do that right, if they plan their careers right, they don't stay at the same company and they jump around to get the higher increases in pay. So you think 4 or 5 years of college and then another 4 or 5 years on the job, you're looking at 10 years before you break $100,000 a year on average. Now I know there's just exceptions and things like that, depending on the careers that you choose, and doctors and lawyers who tend to earn sooner up in that higher range, they're also going to school longer. I'm talking about your standard bachelor's degree, your 4-year term, a study, and sometimes 5 years. So you see people are realizing, and I think some of it has to do with when you look at what happened with the vid crisis back in 2020, where people saw that they could work 2 jobs and earn double the money and be just as productive in both jobs, working remotely, that they started learning. And then you saw the growth of becoming content creators. And they're seeing the success in that, because you can see people that are earning well over $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a month on social media, and they haven't been doing it for umpteen years. They've been doing it for 2, 3, 5 years. So about half of the time that it takes in a traditional career path, they are doing it as content creators. So I see that big shift. Now, of course, if you look at like Plato's Utopia, wherein he says you're always going to need knob turners, and this is true. There will be people that are not able to adapt, and they will struggle. And I wish there was a way that people didn't have to struggle. I don't believe in universal income, because somebody else has to pay for it, and I don't believe it's my responsibility to pay for somebody else's lifestyle who doesn't want to do the work themselves. And I know there can be exceptions to that rule, and you look at it like people who are handicapped, have disabilities, real disabilities. Like, I don't consider myself to be disabled. Okay, that is more of a me issue than a real issue, because yes, I haven't come to terms with my disabilities yet. I'm working on that, but I also know that there should be programs in place to help the families and the individuals who are disabled, be it mentally or physically disabled or handicapped. So, but for someone who is able-bodied and of able mind, I think they need to have programs that will teach them skill sets, and they should have motivations in place to help them stay motivated and learn new skill sets. So I don't think it's a thing of these useless eaters and how the world is going to have to collapse and these governments will go into war and possibly reduce the population like that. That can happen. Wars have historically, big wars have been proven to do that as a side thing, but I think it's more so as a way to keep checks and balances in place. And any war is horrible. Any of that extreme violence is horrible. So I just wanted to make this video in response to Bjorn's video. I think he's an incredible content creator, and he creates thought-provoking content. Makes you want to think. You don't have to agree with him. I agree with most of his things, not all of them, but that's the great thing behind it, is the discourse that can come from these types of content and discussions. So I think we're in for a really big change, as in fact the way that we earn money. I think there's going to be a lot of bumps in the road by doing that and going through that, but that, and like any time, there are people that are going to be able to adapt and others that are not, and there's going to be things that will either force people to adapt or force them to not succeed and have more difficult lives. Now I pray that everyone will be able to adapt and succeed, because that's the way God wants us. We all have my viewpoints, and you don't have to share these. That I think God flows through each and everything and every one of us, and we are created in His image and with His energy. So by thinking in this terms of abundance and everything, that we can get through these challenging times and these changing times. So I would like today's word to be to adapt. And if you can, put adapt in the comments down below. Adapt and overcome, if you like, because that can help motivate other people to learn new skill sets and to adapt in these changing times. But I also believe we live in some of the best times in our history. So that we've been here on this planet. So it also helps the algorithm, of course. And by doing that, maybe it'll push this out and get to more people. So Mr. Bjorn, I thank you for your video. It was, I found it very, entertaining is not the right word. I found it very thought-provoking. And I like those videos, and I like your stuff. So I thank you all, and thank everyone. So God bless. I'll see you guys tomorrow.